Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kevin Nealon. Our top story tonight, it appears congratulations are in order. We are monitoring things closely as details continue to come in, but it seems, yes, I have confirmation. We're talking about you, Joseph. Congratulations. You really outdid yourself this time, which probably wasn't that hard. Our team has discovered footage from one of the many celebrations taking place in your honor. Stay away from drugs, kids. Now for some deeper analysis, let's go live via satellite to our special guest commentator, Other Kevin. Other Kevin, what are your thoughts on all this? Speechless, Kevin. Wow. Just wow. Insightful as always. Thank you. Well, I'm now being told that we are out of time and that I should pull this lever. I'm Kevin Nealon. Thanks for watching. Take care, Jimmy. Thanks, Bob.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is CeeLo Green, and you are now tuned in to Joseph Jaffe is Not Famous. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, he is not famous at all. Check out this new streaming show. It is perfect. And if you don't, fuck you.
We are human, we are animals, we crave the ability to be we. I know it's called me undies. We undies might have sounded differently, right?
Is it a disco now?
Yeah, it's an after party, so it's now we go with the flash.
My goal in life is to be a laptop sticker.
Me too.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.
It's a great honor, Mr. Jaffe. It's always nice to be with you.
I'm so happy to be with you. I'm honored.
Thanks for doing this, too. It's a real service to the community.
What a great organization and a show that offers hope, optimism, creative solutions, entertainment.
Thank you for doing this, Joseph. It's your gift to the universe, and it's appreciated.
Very human, and I like that.
Look at you! You are insane!
How did I do that?
You're insane!
We'll fight for people wherever there's trouble. G.I. Joe is there. G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe. I think that's the lyrics. Actually, I was looking for the lyrics for G.I. Joe, and I came across lyrics from Lil Yachty. Fairly certain these are not the lyrics I was looking for. It's pretty much no words that I can use. I mean, it makes CeeLo's, funk word seem PG, shall we say? I would have to go ahead and get the trusty. You get the picture. So Lil Yachty will not be delivering anything today. Well, how the hell are you? Toy Sweeney is watching. Toy, a previous guest. She's also an Alpha Talk speaker. We'll talk about the Alpha Collective later as well. Toy is going to help us figure out how we can dress to impress in the metaverse. How about that? Glenn is saying he's digging the new background, but miss it a bit. You miss the shelves. You miss the when I go back to the house after renovations, you will get it all. You will get it all again. Lubna is here. She says hello. And Toy says, hey, love, and I'm not sure whether she's saying that to Lubna or to Glenn or to me, but it's all good. There is nothing but love when it comes to this show. Now, we have got a lot to get through. Here's one of the things I have launched, what I think is a very, very cool initiative. It is a hold economy, which basically means when you hold my Jaffe coin, and you can get that at rally.io/creator/Jaffe. Remember, you hold the coin and you benefit from the coin. How do you benefit? Friday appearance. So we will be giving away one soon. I haven't done one in a couple of Fridays because, you know, I've been busy. Well, thank you, Toy. I say it right back to you as well. So if you are a fan, which means you hold 10 Jaffe coin, right now you would be getting free Jaffe coin. And we do this every day that there is a show. Now, if you choose to hold 25 Jaffe coin, well, you get access to show notes, you get bonus videos. And here's the thing, and I'm going to be doing this for a while, is actually going through the previous day's show. These are the show notes that will be posted in the Discord today. I got to tell you, what a great show. Joel Com is insanely insane and awesomely awesome, and insanely awesome and awesomely insane. I loved, for example, at 59 minutes, he said there are 2 reasons to be wealthy. 1 is to help people, and 2 is to fly private. And as GI said in the background, he said he's not wrong. He isn't. He isn't wrong there as well. We also spoke about this amazing move from FUD to fun. You know, life is so short, as Hans Christian Andersen said. Enjoy life. There's plenty of time to be dead. And an interesting conversation as well at 38 minutes. You see how these are all time-stamped specifically for insiders. At some point, I'm not going to share this, obviously, on the show, but I want to give you a sense of the value and the utility that can now come from just holding a coin. Remember, you can sell it at any time as well. We spoke about not being famous, right? This show is called Joseph Jaffe is Not Famous, and I am not famous. And Joel changed his title to Joel Com, mildly famous. But who wants to be famous? Who wants to be Mark Zuckerberg? In fact, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, to be him. So there's something about actually being able to live unnoticed and go about unnoticed and be normal and not be hounded and not be accosted at a conference or, you know, walking down the street. And I almost wondered, is this a reason to actually not be doxxed? It's a controversial reason, but actually says, I don't want my identity to be shared. I can do good. I can be good. I can launch a collection. We can solve for that, by the way. We can absolutely solve for a trust score, for the ability to say this person is verified, validated, KYC'd, as they call it, know your customer. How about know your founder, right? KYF. Why not a KYF? There's a lot of things that we can think about, I think, and all of this comes through these discussions. Now, if you are a super fan, and I've jumped all the way up to 100 coins, you are eligible for a monthly call with me, 1 hour call, one Zoom every month where we talk about the show. You hopefully will give me suggestions to improve the show, but also if I can help you in any way, I will do that. And so I wanted to share another thought about the idea of being a super fan. I may have mentioned this a week ago, but I want to mention it again right now, which is I've just launched something that I'm super excited about. And it is specifically to turn super fans into speaker agents. And what I mean by that is right now, in fact, I am no longer available to book for keynotes or speaking engagements through fiat or through traditional means. You cannot book me anymore through a speaker's bureau. The only way you can book me is by buying one of these NFTs. That's the only way that you can book me. But there's more to it. There's so much more to this. Here's where it gets really interesting. I have discounted my virtual, my North America, and my keynote and my global keynote fees. I want super fans that have seen me speak, that have heard me speak, that have even booked me to speak in the past. You can now sell me and resell me, and you can pretty much keep 100% of the profit if you sell direct, or 90% if you sell through the secondary market. I love this because it's not about me. It's about you. It's about super fans. It's about clients. It's about using, retention to become the new acquisition. Someone wrote a book on that 10, 12 years ago called Flip the Funnel. Wait a second, that was me. But this is what I feel makes me super excited, because any keynoter can do this now, to actually turn everyone into speaker agents. So put me to the test, or put it to the test. Whether you go in and buy a virtual keynote, maybe one for yourself and one for someone else, all you got to do is sell the second one for double the price. And guess what? You just got the first one for free. So there's some very cool pricing models applying. And yes, Glenn, you are a super fan. You just have to now go ahead and get your roles on Discord, and you'll be part of that first show. Well, it's time for our seated soliloquy, and today, maybe with GI on the show, he was asking me, "Am I allowed to swear?" And I said, "Fuck yeah, you're allowed to swear." So I decided to call this "Chill the F Out," but I should just say "Chill the fuck out." This is hot on the heels of yesterday's conversation about moving the FUD to fun. We need to calm down. We need to relax. We need to slow things down. We are in crypto winter at the moment, and it is scary. I am scared, but I'm not running scared. I know that I need to pause. I know that I need to breathe. I know that I need to chill the fuck out. And when I am weak, then I just hope and pray that people around me will be strong. That's the essence of a partnership. That's the essence of a relationship. That is the essence of community. Not everyone can be strong at the same time. We're all going to go through our good days and our bad days, but the hope, the faith, is that all you need is one strong member of your team, your family, your community, your collection, to lift everyone up and be that anchor that grounds everyone. We will get through this. History has shown that we go through highs and lows, and we have been taught you will never quite buy or sell at the lowest of the low or the highest of the high. We are not magicians. We cannot predict the future. But if we believe in doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason, if we are marathoners, as opposed to sprinters, if we can play the long game, if we can stay the course, and if we can give each other the strength and the support and the confidence to stick it out. Sometimes we're treading water and we get tired and we need a hand. Sometimes we're in a holding pattern and we need more gas, not the ETH gas, but a different kind of gas that allows us to refuel, to almost get a little bit of energy, a revival, a second wind. That's how we keep going, and that's how we keep growing. So we will get through this. We will get through this, and we also recognize not everyone will be around. It's one of those things where you look to your left and look to your right, and at least one of those people will not be here at the end of it. But maybe, just maybe, they were never in it for the right reasons. They weren't the people that were here that were built to last. Maybe they were built to suck. But you are not built to suck. I am not built to suck. And let me tell you, GI, Joe, I'm Joe, he's GI, not built to suck either. So now it is time to introduce my very special guest. And I probably should have asked him, how do you pronounce your last name? But I'm just going to go with GI Zaratsian. It's like Zaratsian. I'm going to go with GI Zaratsian, is the founder and CEO of Fandom, a long-time technology and analytics executive developing go-to-market strategies for Fortune 500 businesses, media, and entertainment properties. Maybe you've heard of them like Disney, ESPN Plus, and God, not CNN Plus, Sling TV, and Comcast. Born and raised in Northeast Ohio, and a proud girl dad, GI started Fandom during a pandemic and gracefully, because all pivots should be graceful, gracefully pivoted the business into the NFT and Web 3.0 industry. Please welcome him to the show, GI. So glad that you're here.
You crushed the pronunciation, man. Nice work.
Well, thank you. That is my funny accent. Yeah. I was just going to go with GI.
And by the way, on your chill the fuck out segment, first off, thanks for letting me swear on the show. And I'm privileged to be here. I feel like I need to donate to you. That was like such a moving segment. Is there like a link that we can send our USDC stable coins to after that segment to donate? Because you had me teary-eyed.
Oh, thank you so much for even, I mean, for saying that. More importantly, you know, it's so funny when I started the soliloquy, and I'll just, kind of unpack it a little bit for you, which is the show is called Joseph Jaffe is Not Famous because it really is about my guest. It really is, and I wanted and the community, of course, and so I figured that my soliloquy would be the moment that I can use to still deliver a little bit of thought leadership, and remind people that that I am also a guest and a keynoter at the best of times or the worst of times. And then what happened was I started to write it out and use a teleprompter, and which is what I use to introduce you. And I love it because it was very different for me. When I keynote, I'm like this. I just I don't know what the hell is going to come out of my mouth. And I kind of enjoyed the discipline of writing 400 words and delivering it and being very deliberate about each word. And then something happened one day where I was running late or I didn't think the guest was going to show. And I was like, I don't have time to write this. And I just went back to just speaking from the heart because authentically, that's always who I've been and what I do. And I just love the fact that I can just riff now. I don't plan it. I don't prepare anything. Literally, the full extent of it was chill the fuck out.
I love that too, and like that reminds me of I'm a big fan of the Netflix culture deck. If you've ever read that, it's like 128 slides, but it was published years ago, and it's just a great thing for most businesses to sort of strive to understand. But the concept I love most about that, and kind of how I operate, is this sort of highly aligned but loosely coupled mentality. And it's like you prepare, like you did research on me, and we've only known each other now, Joe, for 8 days, right? You
Right.
did research on me. You learned who I am. We exchanged some dialogue back and forth before entering the show. So you're highly aligned that way, but you're loosely coupled that you can just riff and we can have a conversation. So I love that. I think it's a great approach that you bring to the table.
Well, I mean, thank you. And look, here's what I'll say without any obligation whatsoever. I would say right now, based on where I am and where I'm heading, uh, don't send me anything. But what you can do is either hold the coin and take up a role, or consider the Alpha Collective and becoming a member, because I think it's going to deliver so much value for you and the company and your clients. Or even look at one of those NFTs, and not only use me if ever you wanted to, but actually resell me and profit off me. Because that is the use case. I walk my talk, right? It's not I put myself out there. People go, well, what if you don't sell a pass? What if you don't sell an NFT? I'm like, I don't care. I do not
Right.
care. It doesn't define me, because I know that I will move on to the next thing if necessary. And what I learn from this will only make me stronger and ultimately help other people in the process.
When you told me about this last week when we met, about how people can book you, and you've essentially digitized yourself. You registered Joseph Jaffe onto the blockchain, right? Which is awesome. And I think it's hyper innovative. I have to know, like, did you see someone else do this? Was this just, or it
Nope.
was totally your independent thought, regardless of what other people are doing? So I'm gonna monetize myself and share in that economy with my super fans.
I actually registered NFT of me. No, I don't. In fact, actually, my MO in life has always been that I don't want to do anything that anyone has done before. Like,
I love that.
it is the, I mean, we use this a lot at CX, right? Which is, I've come to peace with the fact that I'm a pioneer, and as the saying going, there are two types of people: pioneers and settlers. The pioneers get shot, and the settlers take the land. I am a pioneer, and so now what I've been saying to people is, I will be remembered and respected and recognized after I'm dead. And people are like, whoa, 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 that's so morbid and dark. It's like, no, that's the lot. That's my role. That is my role in this tapestry, in this play. Maybe I'll be surprised along the way, but I'm okay with it.
It's such a cool mentality to have, because you get to pioneer something, and of course it's a blessing and a curse. There's sometimes first mover advantage, and then there's sometimes your MySpace. and Facebook comes out, right? So, but I love that you do that. Like, I love the pioneering, and we're talking about a space that has so much pioneering in it with NFTs because it is still new.
Well, that's what you're doing.
That's
So
what we're doing. But I was going to tell you too on like what you're doing with sort of monetizing yourself. I was having a conversation, and I won't reveal too many names or whatever, but we'll call it a visitors bureau, right? A city-wide visitors bureau whose job is to get people into the city, visitors, right? Travel, tourism, and come discover our city. They make their money on hotel bed tax. So the way that they get compensated, you stay in a hotel and there's a little tax there, and that's how they make their money. So a lot of incentivization for them. What I talk to them about is, how do we utilize NFTs to attract tourism? How can we get patrons of the city, people that live here, to have some extra incentivization beyond just making your city better, but now maybe there's a financial incentivization or discount incentivization to bring people into the city? So can we do that with NFTs? Can people who live in the city sell an NFT to someone who doesn't in a neighboring city? Hey, come to Cleveland, right? Come stay in our hotels, come check out our Hall of Fames, come check out a ball game. And when you buy this NFT from me, you're contributing back to the pot, back to our growth and revitalization of the city. And it's that sharing economy, like everything you described with, this is the only way you can book Joseph Jaffe, is by purchasing this NFT. And your agents are your fans. They're the ones that are going to go help book you, and they get the reward. They get the financial incentive. Hopefully you get a full plate of bookings, and everyone wins in that economy. And that's, I think, at the end of the day, the simplest definition of Web3 to most people who are still trying to figure out the right click JPEG thing and everything else in between.
yeah, I mean, and as far as I'm aware, I'm the first person that has actually said I'm no longer available to transact via fiat, and put everything, all my time will now live in Alpha Collective. So AMAs, mentoring, coaching, and all of my speaking will go through my coin. And so you gotta go all in, but do it strategically as well. And so, like, in many respects, that's what you're doing as well. And we'll talk about Fandom, we'll talk about the pivot. But before we do that, I would be remiss if I didn't actually share this with you as well, because you are the original GI. So you are GI Joe. There you are. You're like, you don't even need a helmet. That's how cool you are, or a beret. So I was.
I'm going to need you to send me this photo if you don't mind. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, damn straight. Listen, GI Joe is better than GI Tract. So
it certainly is. And I mean, I've gone by this name since I was born. My father goes by it. It's weird. I recognize that. I own it though. And it's funny, as a kid, like, I had the underwear, I had the GI Joe underwear, I had the dolls, and like, it was kind of cool, GI Joe. And then I don't know what year it was, 1996, 97, Demi Moore made a movie called G.I. Jane. And that's when the teasing started a little bit. Oh, G.I. Jane, you're a girl now, right? As a kid, like, oh, come on. G.I. Joe was way cooler than G.I. Jane. I actually celebrate G.I. Jane a hell of a lot more now because I am a girl dad. And then we got to high school and people started learning what a gastrointestinal tract was, right? So I've been through it. It's fun. It's easy. It's 2 letters. You don't even need to pronounce the last name if you don't want to, Joe.
Well, now I've got Zaratsian, so I'm good with that. But hang on a second. I figured once you hit me with pun intended, once you hit me with G.I. Jane, were we going to chat about G.I. Jane 2? Can't wait to see it. And then how do you do a virtual slap? I'm not really sure. So we will not
we'll time it up.
We will not accost one another, but while we're on the subject of looking at your head in unusual places, these are the fun facts that we found out about you. For example, how many people know that you attended high school with LeBron James? And we actually have a photo right here of the two of you. I think it gave you a big head. I'm not sure, but
it definitely inflated the ego a little bit. But that was a fun experience, and I think. Obviously, people I grew up with in Northeast Ohio, know that. But when you're, we're in a setting like we were last week at CEX, I don't walk around with a flag on my back that says I went to high school with LeBron. In fact, sometimes I like to tease people saying that LeBron went to high school with me. It doesn't go very far, that joke. But it was a fun experience. I love the guy, great person before he's a great athlete. And it's fun to tell those stories, because if I meet someone that said, I went to high school with Tom Brady, or I'd ask them the same questions that people ask me.
Yeah,
So I
did you
find it
know him? Were
fascinating.
you friends with
Yeah,
him?
I cheated off him in Spanish class. So yes, I knew him well at the time. We had a small school, St. Vincent St. Mary. It was like 125 students per grade. So we played football together. I was on the bench, he was on the field. So we didn't hang out on the weekends. You know, I didn't play basketball. I was vertically challenged throughout most of high school until I had my growth spurt. But no, great human being. So it's a fun fact, and it's a really good icebreaker when talking to people.
Listen, I think you've got to change your fun fact now to I cheated in high school off LeBron James. That's a much cooler one, because you would expect it to be LeBron cheated off me. But I love the fact that not only did you know him, but you cheated off him. You didn't tell us whether you failed or passed or got an A.
No, so LeBron, like, to his credit, like, everyone wants to think like, oh, he was on the cover of a magazine when he was, 15, 16 years old. He probably had things handed to him. Very well educated, very smart, great supporting structure around him at that time. I think he averaged like a 3.5 GPA, and he earned that. I don't mind wearing my, heart on my sleeve and telling you about my GPA, because I was probably like you can put this up next, like a 2.8 GPA in high school. School just wasn't my thing. So I absolutely benefited from cheating off of LeBron in Spanish class.
I do not have your high school transcripts, but I do have one more fun fact about you, which relates to, of course, because all fun facts should equate to Billy Madison. So you can quote the movie Billy Madison from start to finish. In grade school, you would watch it on VHS for the. These days, we've got to explain to people what a CD or a DVD is. Every single day after school for nearly an entire year. If you thought that I was going to let you get away without giving us a bit of a quote or a paragraph or a scene from Billy Madison, you are sorely mistaken.
You know what I'm going to do, though? I'm not going to say it on prompt. I'm going to weave it into this conversation at some point, and I'm going to see if you can catch it, because it wouldn't be fun to do it on prompt. It'd be fun to actually use it in context throughout the conversation. But on that topic, like, I think, like, technology fascinates me, right? My kids, they've grown up with iPads in their hands, and they don't even like to watch the TV because they can't touch the TV. They can't make it do what they want to do as efficient as they can with the iPad. And what do kids have with iPads right now? Access to every film, every TV show, every episode, everything on YouTube ever published, right? In the blink of an eye. Like, Joe, you're older than me. I mean, you look just as young as me, but I know you're older than me.
God bless you.
God bless you too. But like, I grew up with a lot of the same formats of consuming technology and watching television as you did, right? Like, if I wanted to watch a movie, I either had to find it on the TV Guide channel if it ever came up, wait for it to come on air, or really convince my parents to take me to the video store to go rent a VHS. So I didn't have a lot of options. I watched Billy Madison like literally every single day after school. I popped that into the VHS player. I had to rewind it first, watch it over and over and over again, because it was the only thing I could watch. And I liked it as a kid because there's some swear words in it, and I got to use them. And you know that I like to use swear words. So it stuck with me, and I'll find a good quote throughout the call.
It actually, what I love about the fun fact segment is that what it actually does, there's always, almost, when I say, no, not almost, there's always an interesting segue or piece of context that makes it relevant to our discussion. And so this idea of adversity or restrictions or limits that allow us to flourish, to be creative, to find solutions, to make it work. It's like the kid who basically creates with their imagination and nothing but a cardboard box because they don't have anything. So there's that part of the conversation, but then there's also the part of the conversation dealing now with this crypto winter. You said something in the green room that I thought was an amazing insight. You said sometimes you have to hit rock bottom in order to be able to ... So I would love for you to talk about that idea, and you can pick the context, right? This idea of rock bottom, adversity, restrictions, limits that ultimately define who we are, and more importantly, who we will become.
Yeah, I'll start with crypto on that, and maybe weave NFTs into it. But I'll start there, and then we can get more on the personal level. But look, I think if you just got into crypto a year ago and you bought in at an all-time high, and you're seeing this now, you're saying, shit, right? I messed up. Either I waited too long, or I waited too long for a reason, and this really isn't for me. And that can be scary for some people. It's like the first time you buy a stock and you don't know what you're buying, you just buy whatever's the obvious choice, and there's a bear market and it crashes and you regret, why did I get into stocks? I don't know what I'm doing. So I think that could be scary for a lot of people. I think the space that we're in right now, it's so volatile. It moves so fast. It's still early. The ups and downs. Now we have crypto correlated to the US financial markets. Like now it's correlated. So when there's a bear market in the US financial markets, we're seeing the bear market in crypto. And that's fine that correlation's existing now. I think people abandon a little too fast because, to your point in your initial segment, they don't understand this really is a marathon. Unless you're an extremely effective day trader, you can't expect every crypto asset, ApeCoin, for example, to just moonshot. It's not realistic. You can place a bunch of small bets on things. Maybe one day Cardano is going to get that same moonshot that Ethereum got, or it's going to get an abbreviated version like what Solana's had, and you can place those little bets. And don't be afraid to buy some dips. I'm not giving financial advice, by the way, but like I think people, they dump too soon, where the winners, like this is really where you separate the winners from the losers in some cases, is the losers are dumping too quick. They're abandoning their strategy because they're just scared of the market. Whereas the people that win are using this as an advantage. I get discounts on crypto now. I can buy the dips. Now let's talk about NFTs and how that's affecting things. With NFTs, their correlation to the crypto market is unique. When the crypto market's super high, people aren't buying as many NFTs as you would think, right? They want to remain liquid enough so they can buy in and out of other crypto assets more efficiently. When you're buying an NFT, you're storing that. You're storing your cryptocurrency, your Ethereum, into the NFT, and you're kind of locking it up until you can sell that and get liquid again. But when crypto markets are down, the activity of NFT transactions begins to pick up. Why? Because the price is already low. I can go buy NFTs for a discount, and I can store it there until the crypto market returns and I can get liquid again. So there's a lot of correlation to it. I think that rock bottom feeling for most people is you're checking your Coinbase account way too many times and you're getting your updates that says that Ethereum dropped another 6% in the past hour, and it can be nerve-wracking to know that you had all this wealth that just got crushed over the past 7 days. And that's unfortunately the market we're in. And you're going to lose some people along the way. But, I know we're going to talk a little bit about onboarding today, but there's so many effective ways to get people into the space. And when it's a bad time in the market and you're trying to bring new people in, they get scared. And they're on Twitter. It's the most active place for crypto and NFT chatter these days. And they see a lot of the people that are freaking out, and that becomes their initial perception of the space. Is everyone always this tense, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, yesterday, a quote that came from the episode with Joel was a Warren Buffett quote: "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." And it's an interesting juxtaposition there. And so, like, you said something that I think is a very important point. You said people are abandoning their strategy. And the thing is, if the strategy is sound, then why abandon it? Right? So it's important to be able to say the strategy, listen, I sometimes we have to. I had a company called Evolution after my company Crayon, and the vision was to build a bridge between Madison Avenue and Mountain View. So the goal was to figure out how startups and brands could partner and collaborate. And the big vision was to reverse engineer the startup from the brand backwards. And what I meant by that was, well, where was the growth coming from? It wasn't coming from big corporations and blue chips. They were flatlining and stagnating and declining. All the growth was coming, the explosive growth, from these technology startups. So, but the funny part, the insight was that what do all these startups do? They all want to get big fast and then monetize through advertising, which is a losing value proposition. So I was like, well, if the startup is trying to figure out the brand but doesn't really understand the brand, and the brand is looking for a lifeline, what if the brand could actually start and incubate the startup and work backwards and build it on the brand's principles? That strategy applies today more so than ever before, more relevant than ever before. But guess what? We ran out of runway, and so evolution is no more. So sometimes the strategy is sound, but you have to move on. That's the same thing like liquidity. It's okay to sell if you need the money. But if you're selling for all the wrong reasons or because you don't believe in the strategy, that's a problem. More likely than not going to be a problem for you.
Well, I think the why are people abandoning their investment principles? It's the noise. It's the noise on the periphery, right? Like if you have a strategy and you put blinders on and you mute Twitter, you mute your Coinbase notifications, you stop talking to people that are going to give you this introduction to chaos, you might still be able to stay on your strategy and stay on your plan. But that's not realistic, right? We're all checking Twitter, we're all on social media, and we're picking up signals from every direction that creates, right? It creates the fear, uncertainty, and doubt in our brains that tells us, ooh, maybe I shouldn't buy the dips right now because what if it dips more? I could buy it next week. Maybe I should unload that NFT so that I can get more liquid. Maybe I should just abandon part of my portfolio, move it over to USDC, and just save face at this point because of the noise coming from everyone else. And that's, I think, part of the challenge with this space in general. And it's not just crypto, it's NFTs too. It moves so fast and the chatter gets more and more to where, are you really even forming your own opinions, or are you just taking the opinion of that person who's perceived as an influencer that, oh, by the way, might not be doxxed? You don't know who that is behind that pseudonym on Twitter. So it's a challenging space to navigate when you're trying to create your own path.
I found I mentioned yesterday's quote, Hans Christian Andersen. This is today's quote, which I think is so perfect for this conversation and also so perfect for you. And the quote is, if you can't build with them, don't chill with them. And so how I found it was I was looking for a quote on chilling out and slowing it down and relaxing and not panicking, etc. And then, one of the key elements of Web3 is this idea of builders, right? From celebrities to influencers to builders. This is from, the quote is Musa Rahat. And I wanted to actually get your take on the quote, because who we choose to associate ourselves with and spend time with, whether it's building together in a company or building together in a community, or just choosing to hang out on Twitter, is ultimately going to be the determining factor between the FUD and the fun and the funk, right? But also between the noise, the signal, the order, and the chaos.
I completely align with this quote, and I'll give you kind of my interpretation of it. And you've heard the sort of phrase, like, you're the average of the 5 people you associate with the most, right? So who do you want to be? You associate with those types of people. You want to make a lot of money, associate with people that have been there, done it, and can help sort of bring you into that category. And with that quote that you threw up there, like, I do think, like, the way that I've invested, and I'm not a great investor in traditional stocks, but I have to like the product. I have to like the company. I'm more of an emotional investor as opposed to pure financial numbers. So if I like the company, if I actually understand what they do, I can invest in it. I can root for it. I can be a consumer of that product or of that company. I think when it comes to NFTs, the dichotomy is different. I now own a real fraction of something like that I can buy, sell, and trade. I can show it to you on my MetaMask wallet. Like I own an NFT as part of this project. I can follow along on Twitter and join the Twitter spaces, chat with the people that are in this community. And then Discord, right? Discord, I can have 24/7 conversations with people that are also attached to this project. If I don't like the vibe, if these are people that are, too degenerate for me, and every other, word is like LFG and, wag me and all these things that like I don't really need to say all the time, it's probably not going to work, right? So I've got to find the community that makes the most sense for me, and then I can support it, and then I can get behind it. So I align with that quote, and I think it translates to a variety of things, not just NFTs, not just crypto, anything where if you want to associate yourself into it, you have to align with it.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks to purpose. One of the things that I really and I want to get into this because what I love is I love a good pivot, and I love the story of I want to hear about the pivot associated with Fandom, but also I was struck by the word purpose built NFT solutions, right? Purpose built, that there is a purpose, but just one thing before we get into the story that I wanted to just chat to you about is you said I own a small fraction of it. And then it suddenly, here was the little synapses connection for me. I thought of Maker's Mark, or some of these Kentucky bourbons where you actually can own, I think maybe Jack Daniels does it as well. You can actually own a small piece of land, in the or on the distillery, or even your name on a barrel. You own it. You could literally show up at Maker's Mark and say, or I think it's Jack Daniels, one of the two. I want to see my land, and they'll show you this small piece of grass, I guess, of land that is yours. You own it. It's insignificant in terms of a percentage of the total size, but it's land. You actually own a small piece of something so much bigger. And that was like kind of the epiphany moment, as you said it, which is it's not about the money when it's about that thing, which is, that's how I felt with Constitution DAO. I was in hospital, one of my hospital stays, checking into the ER, and I was going through all the blood work, and I'm busy sitting watching the auction on YouTube, and I thought that we had won because I was in it. And I was so damn pissed off when I found out we hadn't, because I was going to be like, oh my God, I own a small piece of the Constitution.
History.
It didn't matter.
Right.
It didn't matter how small. And so, like, what is significance or insignificance at the end of the day? It's completely subjective and in the eyes of the beholder.
It's completely I totally agree. Completely in the eyes of the beholder. It is subjective. It's where you assign your value. And look, the NFT market is a beautiful description of that. Why did Bored Ape Yacht Club become as big as it did? They're just pictures of apes, right, with a bunch of unique attributes. It's not the best art in the world. It's nice. It's fun. There's a lot of cool variety. It was subjective, and people got on board. And there's a lot of other reasons why it succeeded in the way that it did. But people said, we want to make this thing ours, and we want to build this community. And to get into this community, it's going to be exclusive. So, like, for me to go buy some land at Jack Daniels on their brewery, it's not a distillery. It's not going to be cheap, most likely. But if I'm a huge fan of Kentucky bourbon, and I get to create an annual experience to take my friends or family down there to showcase what I have, and maybe I've got a barrel of bourbon that's also stored for me there, that's maybe something that I love, and that's an experience that I get to execute with them, right? And that's the cool part about the NFT space now, is I have digital provenance over that ownership, right? I've got the thing that proves that I own this, and I can sell it to somebody else. And that shift, that philosophy, I could actually talk about bourbon and fine whiskey all day, not just because I like to consume it, but because that's a market that if NFTs can really be adopted within there, makes so much sense. how much does a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle cost on the primary sales market? $120 maybe. But how much does it fetch on the secondary market? Several $1,000s, and those are typically private sales, right?
Hey, I'm really upset about the fact I'm only finding out about this now, because in Phoenix, you and I could have sat at the bar drinking fine. I'm a single malt Scotch guy. We could have had a lot of fun. By the way, here is a standing offer for you and anyone watching, which is when you're in New York City next, we'll go to the Flatiron Bar, and there you walk in and you see. You can buy a bottle of whiskey there, or of Scotch, and it's yours. And then they give you a customer number, and it's stored behind lock and key. And anytime you come in, you just ask for your bottle, and they bring your bottle out, and you can drink it. And if you have a client coming in or a friend with the right code, they can access your bottle for you. So there's an interest that is a physical ownership, but imagine, how easy is it for an NFT to basically be the key that unlocks that bottle?
I could transfer my NFT to you for a short amount of time, and you could go sip my bottle, and then you could send me a picture when the bottle's empty because you consumed all of my Macallan 12, right?
12? How about 18 or 25? Or
I haven't made it as big as you yet, Joe. So I'm still stuck at the 12.
Can you? And this is all while I'm still not famous. Can you believe that?
That's right. You're gonna be up to the 32 mark at some point if they even go that high.
They do, and it tastes like gasoline. That's all I can say. So tell us about Fandom, because I would love to hear the journey, right? Starting the company, making this graceful or gracious pivot, and kind of where you are right now, and really, without this, how we came to know each other.
Yeah, for sure. So I started the business almost 2 years ago now, and you read off my fancy bio that it's just a bio, right? It's just words. But I spent a long time at a company where I worked under somebody, and I've always wanted to start my own business. So I was able to raise a small round of investment to give me that sort of out, so I can go do this new thing. And when I started the business, though, I was not that early of an adopter in NFTs. I didn't know what NFTs were when I started this business almost 2 years ago. We were initially building technology to connect brands with athletes to help with sort of sponsorship monetization and measurement and insights. 2 years ago, by the way, was like when the pandemic started. If you didn't remember, sports were not on. Brands weren't spending much money, and I had just started a business. So we built what we thought was really cool technology, but no one was there to buy it. No one was there to use it. We got massively distracted. I'll give a lot of credit to Gary Vaynerchuk in the winter of 2020, because he was talking about this NBA Top Shot thing. And for anyone who doesn't know what NBA Top Shot is, I personally credit it to being one of the best onboarders of people into the NFT space. It's these digital moments that you can buy that are collectibles, they're NFTs, they're just like digital trading cards, but they're highlights from the NBA. And they're you can buy, sell, and trade them. They're NFTs. And Dapper Labs created that product, and we started to see that. We're like, wow, this is amazing. Here's a product that, while sports have been off and not airing games, is helping a sports property like the NBA generate cash flow, make money, and create consumer engagement. Let's go talk to people and see what they think. So my business partner, Cody, he has a sports background. He worked for CAA Sports. We had a good Rolodex of companies we can go talk to, and we were blown away by the demand. Right here, we are trying to sell something over here that, hey, cool product. We're just not spending money right now. NFT side, every property we were talking to was telling us this is a top 3 initiative of our entire next year, and we want to do what they're doing. And we saw the demand. We knew we had the skill sets to build technology. Let's just add blockchain and figure it out. And that's kind of how, when I say gracefully, that's really how it happened. We saw the demand. We knew we could build tech. We had to get the additional right resources in order to execute that tech. And oh, by the way, we're literally learning with everybody else but we're trying to do it at a much faster pace. And, I spoke last week at CEX, and for me, that was really rewarding for Joe Polizzi to ask me to come speak, because I do feel like we've become experts in the space. And there are people that are much bigger experts than me that can go into way more granular detail, but it was a validation for us that, hey, we're considered thought leaders now, and people are coming to us. I get LinkedIn messages multiple times a day with, hey, I'm thinking of starting an NFT project. I'd love to talk. And Joe, you've probably been in these scenarios throughout your career where you can give that valuable feedback to someone. I got to figure out how to better monetize that. So maybe you should teach me how to NFTify myself. But yeah, we pivoted over a year ago into the space. We've been building ever since. So today we work with, it could be like a brand property, like a sports league, or a brand that wants to get involved in the NFT space. It could be a celebrity, an athlete, a media brand. And what we do is we build the full Web3 stack. And what that means is everything from smart contracts to Web3 integration onto websites, token gated access for people that own NFTs. It's really the productization around what NFTs can do. So we are developers and technologists at heart. We're having a lot of fun. We've been reactively opportunistic in the space because there's so many fun things that happen and it moves so quickly. But we want to build in the space forever. And I weirdly cannot imagine being in another industry right now.
Did you just say reactively optimistic or?
Reactively optimistic.
I love that.
You kind of have to be that in the space a little bit, because if you try to jump too far ahead and guess what the market's going to do in 6 months in terms of like the NFT market, 6 months is eternity in the space, right? So like what's in front of you now, and how can you react to that as efficiently as possible and take advantage of that opportunity?
Well, I mean, this is one of the slides that you actually shared that I wanted to share out with people watching today. And you said, well, if you're thinking of starting your own NFT collection, here are 4 questions. One is, do I have content worth monetizing? So I by the way, I'm going to answer this with respect to myself, but also Alpha Collective. Hell yeah, in terms of the content that I've created, that other people like me has created, but also the 52 Alpha Talk speakers, which is one of the 10 tentpole offerings, is a paid subscription enough? It's never enough when you're actually playing with secondary market. And the fact that there's so much more value and utility that comes from it, and it's subjective, right? Because the thing about it is, when it sells out, it's never, it's like, I missed it. No, you didn't. There's always a buyer. There's always a buyer. It's just going to cost you more. Can I build hodl value? Hell yeah. I mean, the goal has got to be, I will sell, I will basically sell out my best friend before I sell this NFT. But at the same time, if you want to, you can. And am I okay with scarcity? Well, the thing is, it's again, less about scarcity and more about limits, right? Because it's scarcity with a back door, right?
Sure.
Which means you can always get in. And so I looked at this and I thought to myself, thank you, by the way, for helping me validate the fact that like Kevin Rose has done with Proof, like I hope to do with Alpha. These 4 questions helped me tremendously because the answer was 4 times hell yes, as opposed to 4 times Hail Marys, which
I'm
is
glad.
not.
I'm super glad it helped you validate, because these questions are meant to validate or to get you to think more critically, because we hear a lot of ideas and we get pitched concepts all the time, and we come up with ideas too. And sometimes you're just like, I don't think that needs to be an NFT, right? I don't like, that doesn't make sense, or you don't have a plan for how you're going to execute it or manage it as a business. So why make it NFT when maybe that subscription model is enough with how you intend to interact with your patrons, with your consumers, your customers? But I appreciate knowing that you were already working on this project. You read those questions and you're like, check, 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 check. And it got you to think that, yes, this helps validate. I already had these ideas, and this solidified it for me. So I appreciate that feedback. That's super cool to hear.
And the thing is about being reactively optimistic. There's your book title, by the way, Reactively Optimistic. Dan Pink's got nothing on you. It's like a Dan Ariely, right? Predictably irrational. But reactively optimistic says, you know what? Like even this little riff on scarcity, is it's scarcity with a little asterisk, right? Because the old world was built on scarcity, right? And based on 1 30-second spot on the Super Bowl. The new world says there's scarcity, but with a twist. And that twist is limitations with the ability to always find a buyer. And, look at whether it's Moonbirds or whether there's always a buyer out there. It comes back to that. We spoke about rock bottom, etc. You think you're rich, someone's richer. You think you're poor, someone's poorer. There's always someone, unfortunately, that is better off or worse off than you. And not unfortunately for you. And it puts everything into perspective.
For sure. And I like your entire thought process around the space. I do think the value compromise of creating scarcity within a sort of max supply of a collection, because that's how we're trained to think now in NFTs already, because that's how the real world worked for a lot of time when it came to collectibles. Here's the max supply. This is how much is being created. No more will be created. But the value proposition around that in the Web3 space is secondary sales and this sort of perpetual royalty machine that as long as you're delivering value to the people that hold and own your NFT, you're growing the brand promise of what you're creating. You have 10,000 of something, there's a hell of a lot more people that are trying to buy one of those 10,000 things, and you're driving the price up. You're driving the value up. So what happens, that royalty percentage gets bigger and bigger and bigger and accumulates more and gives you the resources you need, ideally, to invest back into that community, to invest back in the next iteration of what you're doing. And look, we've seen a lot of the private. Look at Bored Ape Yacht Club. It's not just 10,000 apes anymore. It's Bored Ape Kennel Club. It's the mutant serums. It's now the Other Side land sale. The amount of money that they've been able to generate, people are fighting to get one of these things because they know it's their lottery ticket to get a nice return. So there's definitely ways to, like you said, put that asterisk next to scarcity and scale the demand as long as you're delivering on your promise.
It's the scale of scarcity. That's my little tongue twister. Or the scarcity of scale. It's one of the two. That's what I'm going to noodle on.
I'm going to buy that book.
Well, then I'm going to buy Reactively Optimistic. But before we do that, today is Wednesday. It is Wellness Wednesday, which means Whitney, speaking with the W's, Whitney Lauritsen. I don't know if you met her at CEX, but she's one of the fellow creator coin holders. And this is her segment for today.
Social media has a lot of pros and cons. One of the pros is that it makes us feel more connected to people. It's a great way to learn information. But one of the cons is that we can fall into the comparison trap a lot, and we can see information that does not make us feel good. So this is a reminder that you can curate your social media feeds to make you feel better. A lot of us fall into the habit of following every person that we meet and not unfollowing them when they no longer serve us. That person that maybe you met 10 years ago, maybe you've kind of outgrown who they are. Maybe what they're posting no longer suits your life. It is okay to unfollow them. But another really easy thing that you can do, if for some reason you feel uncomfortable or you're afraid of offending somebody by unfollowing them, you can mute them. I love this feature. I use it all the time on Instagram. I've started to use it on Twitter as well. Some of the other platforms, you can do that too. That way you can kind of keep that relationship, but you don't have to pay attention to what they're posting. Also keep in mind that most of the social media platforms these days really start to understand you based on what you're engaging with, the content that you're liking, that you're commenting on, that you're watching all the way through if it's a video. Twitter especially has really started to do this over time as well. You can actually start to follow topics and unfollow them based on your interaction. So be intentional about what you're engaging with. so that you can help tell the algorithm what you want to see more or less of. And if social media is giving you a ton of anxiety, if it's not making you feel good, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling like you're constantly not enough because you feel like other people are always better than you, maybe it's time to take a break from social media. That's okay too. If you want to continue posting on social media, you can use third-party tools to schedule, or you can create very intentional times to go into social media, post, and then leave. The more aware you are about how you feel and why you're using social media, the better you can utilize it to fit your life and protect your well-being.
I mean, perfect, right? Because it went back to this idea of, if you want to chill the fuck out, if you want to surround yourself with builders, if you want to be very intentional about eliminating the noise and focusing on the signal, the order from the chaos. But then there's also another point there, which is recognizing, this is a very difficult concept to recognize, that the people that you associate yourself with now, you may not associate yourself with in a month or a year from now, because you might outgrow them or they might outgrow you.
I totally agree. I think that's a really good point. People change, and sometimes they show their true colors more so on social media because you're hiding behind that screen. I think back to like the presidential election when Donald Trump became president, you got to see different sides of people that maybe you just didn't talk about in person because politics is one of those taboo topics, but all of a sudden you saw it on social media. It's like, ooh, they said that? Like, that's going to be weird seeing them in person and not having that come up as a topic of conversation, right? But that's the third dimensional world we live in now, where you've got the added element of social media. One thing that I found interesting about that clip you just shared was that a trampoline in the background in her bedroom?
I think so. I'm not sure if it's part of
fascinating.
her. Huh? We'll have to
It's
ask Whitney
fascinating.
about the trampoline.
I would like trampolines in all of my room. That just sounds fun. Start your day with a few jumps and off you are. Blood's flowing.
That's part of her Wellness Wednesday, I think. Well, let me tell you one thing. One person you do want to associate yourself with and follow and friend and fan and fandom is a G.I. Joe / G.I. Jarrett. See, I fucked it up right at the end. G.I. Zaratsian. Do not say that 3 times fast. Founder and CEO of Fandom. I love this full stack that you're building, this Web3 stack. Brands need it. You're going to have to make sure that once they're in the Alpha Collective, they find out all about this, because they need that one-stop shop. They need the one throat to choke, but they will not be choking your throat anytime soon. I'm so happy that I attended your session and met you, and we didn't even get into finding out why your Twitter handle sounds like Elon Musk's child's name. Just tell us before we leave.
It's a digital wallet. Digital wallets on Ethereum start with OX, right? So it's the cool, trendy thing to do. You got to be all in degenerate if you want to succeed on Twitter in the NFT space. So you got to own it.
GI there. What's the 2, or is that literally how your
OXGI was taken? So I had to put G to I, right? G to the I. So
all right. So now
it's like a periodic table.
So as long as it's not Elon Musk's next child's name, we're all going to make it.
I should get royalties on that if it is. But
I'm telling you.
Before I'd love to end at least with a comment, a philosophical quote for you.
Sure.
If pee in your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis. End quote.
I mean, it's just the crowds. You just touched me in the most profound way. And
there's your Billy Madison quote.
Thank you. Well, oh, that's where it comes from. I was like,
who said that? Yeah, who said that? What philosophizer?
I was like, you caught me right at the end. By the way, Lanyon Lee just said, "Cool." So
cool. I hope she's not peeing her pants right now.
No, but you know what? You actually caught me right at the end because I was blissfully unaware. I'd forgotten about the quote. Clearly, I'm not a super fan of that movie, nor of going, yeah, but I don't even know how to do it. Can you do Adam Sandler?
No, not on cue. not on cue. Give me a couple of those scotches, and then we'll do that in person in New York. So I'll come see you at NFT NYC.
We will do that, and hopefully our good friend Chuck Norris will join us as well.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show, and if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.